Welcome to Doron Yoga, everyone. Welcome, Julianne. Thanks for joining us today. We'll look at some basic foundational movements for the seated forward folds. At least in Ashtanga Primary Series, we do a ton of these, and we do them also in a lot of other vinyasa classes. And we want to be in a place where we're doing them and not hurting our backs. Most of us think of it as a hamstring stretch, but in reality, I've seen from my experience of quite a few years teaching, more people get injured in seated forward folds than actually in back bends. I can say it for myself as well. In back bends, I get sore, it goes away. Seated forward folds, if they're not done right, they can pull on the lower back and create an injury in the back. So we'll look at a few different things to do from people that are less to more flexible. Okay? So we're going to start with seated forward fold, hips there, legs forward. Turn around, yeah, this way. We'll just look at the Paschimottanasana with both legs forward, but this is really the same exact thing, whether you have one leg bent, one leg in half lotus, one leg folded back, it's all the same. When people are sitting up, you can see Julia's got this pretty well. The basic, real foundational pose of all seated forward fold is Dandasana. In Dandasana, we have the hands on the ground, and we're pressing strong to lengthen the spine. Legs are super active. This is it, Dandasana. A lot of us that try to do this Dandasana end up in Slumpasana. And it's not because we don't want to, but, right, this is just the most we can do. We're just not flexible enough to do that. So some of you may ask, well, Doron, this is not even a forward fold. Well, let me ask you something else. If I am doing this, would this be considered a forward fold? Most of you would say, absolutely, you're not standing up. If you look at Julia, you'll realize she's doing the exact same thing, just seated, right? For her to be out of a forward fold, she'll need to lay down completely on her back. Anytime she lifts from laying down on her back towards seated, she is in flexion, which is a flexion of the spine, which is a forward fold. If you find that you're sitting in Dandasana and struggling to sit as beautiful as Julia is, I highly recommend find an elevation for the hip. A pillow, maybe with some Guatemalan textures, would be wonderful. A block can work, a bolster can work, anything really that will elevate you. You can see even for Julia that this was super easy before, it looks even a bit more comfortable right now. If all that didn't help, what you would do is you would bend the knees a little bit. This would release some of the hamstring pull and some of the psoas pull, and this makes it even easier. This is perfectly fine, and it's better to start here with good position rather than pull too strong and get it wrong. Once we have this basic foundational forward fold, we'll move to what most of us will think as a forward fold and start to just move forward. As we move forward, we'll try to take the belly slightly in and up. We call that Uddiyana Bandha. This Bandha thing helps us create space in the lower back so we don't hurt the lower back. Julia will move a little further down, and then she'll take the arms forward and stop here. This will be a gorgeous forward fold. This is easy for you. You're welcome to then go ahead and begin to straighten the legs slowly, which will actually take the stretch instead of the belly of the muscle and move it a little more towards the attachment. And that makes it more intense. You'll still move forward, and it's okay to round as you go back, as you go down, as long as you keep the belly in and there's an intention, as you can see right now, Julia demonstrating, of the chest moving forward. The hand position is fantastic. I love doing this. Some people love a strap. I think putting the hands down and just having that feeling of the chest moving forward is wonderful. Some of us may need to have a block to have more elevation. Some of us may need 2 blocks, right? That's perfectly okay. But in Julia's case, nothing or just a tiny bit of a elevation of a cushion will create what we call an anterior pelvic tilt. The pelvis, her hips, are now easier moving forward, tilting forward, which if they are moving forward, she can have more space in the lower back, which will create a lot of length in the spine. If Julia was not having that, she would be moved back a little bit, move back, around the back a lot, right? This is when you're not getting the anterior pelvic tilt. When your pelvis is kind of stuck up, you're trying to reach forward and you're just fully rounding. In this case, please do either elevate or bend the knees, and then, wow, look what just happened. So much more space in the spine. And from there, Julia's gonna go to her full version of the pose right now. We're not super warmed up, so we're just gonna go as far as feels comfortable. And that's it. I also recommend lengthening a bit in the neck so there's no wrinkling, no stress in the neck. Staying here, traditionally in Ashtanga, at least 5 breaths. I recommend staying much longer, staying calm, deepening the exhales. Like I said before, this is true for all seated forward folds. Try to get the same thing with the elevation or with bending the knees, okay? Thank you. Let's come back to sit. By the way, this is also true for even different things like Baddha Konasana. This is still a seated forward fold where if you cannot create the pelvic tilt, you would want to elevate yourself to move forward. This will be true for Paschimottanasana, for when the leg is bent. It really makes no difference. Once you're trying to bend and hinge at the hips, you're going to seek to either, if it's easy, just go ahead, or otherwise elevate the hips and, if needed, bend the knees. Okay? So take care of yourself. Using a block or any kind of accessory, there's no shame in that. There's no problem in that. It's better to keep it safe and sustainable. Eventually, you'll let go of these tools or accessories that you're using and you won't need them anymore. But you'll be able to keep practicing daily or however much you practice without getting injured. Having a sustainable practice is far more important than trying to push to the limit, get injured, and then be stuck not practicing for a long while, okay? So keep practicing, enjoy your practicing. Thanks for being with us. Share with us a little bit of comments below. Thank you, Julia, for being with us. And we'll see you soon. Namaste.